students, in my previous video I had taken up till line number 126 of Browning's famous dramatic monologue Andrea del Sarto. So today we are going to proceed further. Some women do so, had the mouth there urged, God and the glory never care for gain. See, in the previous video, I had discussed with you people that Andrea is lamenting over the fact that he could not get the support that he needed from his wife. He compared himself with common painters and he said that those painters, though they are far behind him as far as the art of painting is concerned, yet they are far much superior than him as the matter of inspiration is concerned, because their inspiration is divine, whereas he is drawing inspiration from his wife Lucrezia. And moreover, even Lucrezia is not supporting her husband. So, in the previous video, he says it could have been better had Lucrezia supported him. And continuing in the same vein, he says some women do so. That means there are women in this world who support their husbands. See, there is a very well-known saying which goes like behind every successful man is a woman. So he says perhaps women can strengthen the moral power of her husband, and that's why the husband can excel in a particular field. But he himself is so unlucky that his wife is not at all in support of him. She is only concerned with the monetary benefits that he is getting because of his paintings. He further says, had the mouth there urged, God and the glory never care for gain. He says his wife never said things like one must only be concerned about fame and name, and one must be least bothered about monetary benefits. He says he was never suggested such things by Lucrezia. Again and again I am telling you the same thing, that Lucrezia was very much concerned with only the monetary benefits. She was concerned only with the money that her husband was earning. She had least interest in his paintings, or you can say the reason behind his paintings. The present by the future, what is that? He says Lucrezia never ever gave that much support to him so that he may be least bothered about you can say the future, or securing the future, or you can say just living a lavish life. See, his craftsmanship was always steering ahead, but the urge, the desire, the reason, the you can say the interest behind painting, he was losing that day by day. He was becoming mechanical in his art because he wasn't getting that support which he needed from his partner. Live for fame side by side with Agnolo. Raphael is waiting up to God, all three. He says she never said that you just live for fame, you just do your work for fame. See, he wanted to be famous like Michelangelo and Raphael, but somehow he felt that those people were lucky. They were having the necessary moral support, whereas he is not having that thing. So he says his wife, that means Lucrezia, never ever said such things that may support him. She never said that he must only be concerned with the fame and name. And she never said that he could achieve as much fame as Michelangelo or Raphael had got. Had she said these things, he says, I might have done it for you. He says, if ever she would have suggested him that he should not worry about money, he should be concerned only with name and fame, perhaps he would have also excelled in his field. Perhaps he would have been as famous as Michelangelo or Raphael. But she never did so. So it seems, perhaps not. But something strange happens in the very next moment. There is a change of ideas. He says, so it seems. He says, it seems to me, for once I also felt the same. That means whatever he had said in the previous lines, he says, up till now I was also having this feeling. But suddenly there came a change in his feelings. He says, perhaps not. See, up till now he was blaming his wife that she did not support him morally. But suddenly the things change. He says, perhaps not. It's not correct. All is as good God overrules. He says, whatever happens in this world is as per the wishes of God. Now, this line is very philosophical. See, up till now, he was behaving like any other normal person. When one gets, you can say, failure in a particular field, one starts introspection, and it's the common tendency of a human being that he blames immediately whatever the source of that you can say failure is. He never owns, one is never you can say ready to accept the responsibility of one's failure. This is what up till now he himself is doing. But suddenly there is a change in his ideas, and he says, no, whatever is happening in one's life, it is not because of one's own wishes or somebody else's influence. Rather, it is the wish of God, it is the will of God that prevails. Beside, incentives come from the soul self. He says one himself, one is responsible, one's own self, one's own soul is responsible for whatever he gains or loses. One cannot just blame others for his failures. The rest avail not. He says, you cannot just blame others. You cannot play this blame game all the time and just shun away from from owning the responsibility. See, whatever happened in my life up till now, I was blaming my wife, but now I have realized that even she is not responsible for that. Whatever has happened, I am the sole responsible person for that. Why do I need you? He immediately asks a question. He says, why do I need you? What is the need of Lucrezia in my life? See, if I want to do something, why should I need Lucrezia for that? Why should I need Lucrezia to press me further or to just, you can say, inspire me for that? What wife had Raphael or has Agnello? He says Raphael and Michelangelo, they both became so popular, but they did not have any wives. So I should not blame my wife for whatever happened in my life. See, in this whole stanza, you can say there is a shift of ideas. Up till now, since the previous stanza, this idea was carrying forward, this idea was being carried forward by him, that his wife was responsible for whatsoever failures happened in Andrea's life. But suddenly he changes the tone and he says, no, she is not responsible. I myself am the responsible one who should own the responsibility, because it is the fact that it is God who decides what's going to happen in one's life, and moreover, whatever we gain or lose, it is on the basis of our own self. And lastly, he says even Raphael and Angelo, they both became so popular, but they did not have any wife. Let's proceed further. Now he is just, you can say, giving vent to certain philosophical ideas. Let's have the lines. In this world, who can do a thing will not, and who would not do it cannot, I perceive. Now these lines are very, very philosophical. He says, in this in this world, who can do a thing will not. He says, this is a very strange kind of thing. It's a very strange phenomenon that in this world, people who have actually the power, or you can say the means, the resources of doing something, of getting a work done, will not. They don't do, because they lack the willpower necessary for that. Though they have the resources, though they have the power, but they lack the resources. But they lack the willpower to do that. And who would do it cannot, I perceive. And he says, those who actually do the work, they don't have the resources, they don't have the power enough to do that work. And this is the ways, this is what the world is about. These are the ways of the world. Here, those who are resourceful lack the willpower of doing something, and those who do not have resources are full of willpower. Yet the wills somewhat chew the power, and thus we half men struggle. He says, somewhat, there is a little bit of will somewhere in all of us, and there is a little bit of power in all of us. So somehow the equilibrium is maintained. See, he is calling people as half men. Why half men? Because none is perfect in this world, and it's a very well known, oft quoted philosophical fact that nothing is perfect in this world. So that's what he is also voicing the same thing. He says, in this world, we people, sometimes we are lacking in the willpower, and sometimes we are lacking in the actual manual power. But whatever be the reason, all the time we are struggling hard to achieve something, and in this way we lead on our lives. At the end, God, I conclude, compensates, punishes. And in the end, what happens? It's God who decides whether we are going to be compensated or punished. That means somehow the Christian philosophy of being judged by the God at the end, that means on the doomsday, is being highlighted here. So he says, in whatever manner we may lead our lives, it is God who will ultimately decide whether we will be rewarded or punished. It's safer for me if the award be strict. And he says, somehow he's trying to convince himself. He says, okay, I haven't got much that I deserved in this world, but I want that God should give me award that should be according to my merit. See, he says, here in this world I have not been judged as per my merits, but I'm sure that, and not only sure, but I request God to give me award, to judge me according to my merits. That I am something underrated here. That's what I told you earlier. He says, here in this world I am underrated. I am not getting what I actually deserve. So I want that after my death, when I reach heaven, when I reach to God and He is going to judge me for my doings, then I want that award to be strictly according to my merits. Poor this long while, despised to speak the truth. And he says, all through my life, I have been despised, I have been ill-treated, and I have not been able to speak this, to speak my mind, because I have always been under pressure. People have been unkind to me, people have treated me badly in my life, but I have bore that thing. I have never borne that thing. I have never complained about that. I dared not, do you know, leave home all day. He says, I always remained indoors, and there was a particular reason. He is talking to his wife and he is giving the reason. He says, all through my life, up till now, since I left France, I had preferred to be indoors for fear of chancing on the Paris lords, because I was afraid of meeting one of the Paris lords. And I had told you the reason in the very beginning of the poem, when we had started discussing the poem, that then I had told you that he was commissioned by the King Francis of France to purchase certain artifacts for the palace, and he was given money for that, as well as he was given money for the paintings that he was supposed to be painting for Francis. But he did not do any such thing. Rather, he squandered the whole money, he wasted the whole money, and he purchased a house in Italy, in Florence, as per the wishes of his wife. So somehow he feels that guilt in him, although nobody directly blamed him ever, because he hadn't given you any such indication, but somehow he himself was guilty conscious, and that's why that guilt forced him to remain indoors, because he was afraid that if he is going to move outside someday, he is going to meet one of the Paris lords, and definitely they are going to scorn him. The best is when they pass and look aside, but they speak sometimes, and I must bear it all. He says, in such a situation, when I am full of so much of guilt, I feel comfortable if they ignore me, if they pass by without noticing me. I'm okay with that. But they speak sometimes. But it is my biggest misfortune. I'm so unfortunate that instead of ignoring me, they pass comments. I must bear it all. And because I have done this wrong, that's why I have to bear all their blames silently. So, see, in these lines are highly philosophical. In the very beginning, he says, people who have the actual power to change the world do not do so. Rather, they don't want to do so because of lack of willpower. And those who have the willpower, they lack the resources. And this is the way of the world. Here, people are having this kind of attitude. That's why they are struggling. He's you can say, calling them half men, because they have half of the powers necessary to propel them onwards in life. And finally, he says, on doomsday, God judges us according to our merits and demerits. So he says, as he had been ill treated in this world, or as he had not been able to get appropriate treatment as per his merits in this world, so he requests God to judge him according to his merits when he dies. Similarly, he says, all through his life, he has been unkindly treated by people, and after that incident of France, when he had left France haphazardly, in a hurry, taking money from King Francis, he is all the time afraid of meeting one of the lords of that Paris court. And he says that he knows very well that if something like that happens, they are definitely going to blame him, they are definitely going to condemn him. So he is quite scared of that day, he is quite scared of meeting them. And he says, it will be best for me if they just ignore me, but I know nothing of this sort is going to happen. Whenever they are going to get a chance to meet me, definitely they are going to blame me, they are going to pass comments. And he says, I must bear it all. He will have to bear all this silently, because somehow, somewhere in his mind, in his heart, he feels guilty conscious. That's all for today.